morning. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thanks for having me today. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Munifa. I'm from Nonformal Education Department, Yogyakarta State University. Today I will share about what I have done about transformation of digital learning in building critical thinking as a basis of learning innovation for non-formal education. Here's some reason for this research. Non-formal education is one of education system that having an important role to equalize education in Indonesia. So for this 4.0 era with a very easy access information, it will have some challenge for non-formal education to be stay exist, and then how non-formal education system can provide learning process, learning program that um, it can giving a critical learning pattern involving the realities of life and utilizing digital media. In my introduction, I have said that there is a model about non-formal education system and also as a goals for sustainable development goals, especially for education, no leave behind. No leave behind in promoting lifelong learning or lifelong educations. So there will be a reason or an information that there must be a relevance between education and work that have been informed by Dirjen Bilmawa, that we need to be adjust to the development of the era in science technology while also paying attention to the humanities aspect. So that's why national education system must be able to guarantee the equalization for education, quality improvement, relevance, and efficiency for education management. So this is a challenge how the education right now, also in non-formal education, not only giving a practical result, but how it can be provide job market requires and also combination with the skills. So that's why it connects to the educator's perspective on science and the implementation of critical thinking skills in the learning process. Therefore, there was some objective, there was some proposed on this research for the educators. First, the measure of the thinking paradigm of educators on critical thinking for knowledge and how they deliver accurate information to the students. And then the second, how for the students it can be applied critical thinking on learning activities as one of 21st century skills. Furthermore, there is some literature review for the first as an inductive logic is conclusion form real individual case into general conclusions. So my research in here is come from specific case. From this specific case, we can get a general conclusion. And the second, how the non-formal education system in my CLC is one of the part non-formal education institution. Currently, innovation is needed as an urgent. How it can be make a non-formal education program lead tertiary education by ICT learning process, business development, and also marketing as the innovation. And then 21st century skill by having critical thinking skills and implementing critical learning innovations. Combining the use of digital media and empirical experience will contribute to active engagement for future success. This is the challenge and also the opportunity that I have said before. And then the method I use in here is by qualitative data research, by case studies at PKBM, HSPK, or CLC. The first stage is by giving questionnaire. I distribute some questionnaire that consists by two different type of question. The first is closed question and the second is open questions. The question consists by this question using the Likert scale of the understanding science and how educators or tutors from non-formal education in CLC obtain knowledge. It relevant to the Jujun Sumantri theory. And then this case study also try to get get the information, how the educators get the information and then construct or build knowledge from the empirical they get, or from the fact they get, and the theory, and then build this knowledge and deliver to the students. So this case study also apply in a critical thinking method directly into the learning process by direct teaching before pandemic and also online teaching on this pandemic era. And then the last is reflection by the situated based on situated action research. It will looking for ways to solve problem. The problem is how this critical learning process apply to the tutors, to the educators, and apply on the delivering process. So this practice will be giving improvement to the educational process for the future. This is the data. From the data here, I can get the result like this, that from 25 respondents, I get most of that is very agree about how these educators get the knowledge or get the information from the daily life and to the knowledge, and then how they will promote it by the theory. So they not only distribute information, spread information directly and then spread it spontaneously, but they will correlate it with the theory, the accurate theory. And most of that giving very agree the result, very agree 16, 15, and then agree 14, 15, 15, and most of that is very agree and agree. And then for the second, is this question about how how the knowledge they get, the educators get, is that by trial and error, incidentally hear word of mouth information, and then the power maybe from the habits that pass down from the generation to the generation, and then empiric by personal experience, by the theory, and by the dogma. And then from here, we can see the result that some of that get the information, get the knowledge by trial and error, or some of that 5 of the respondents by incidentally, and 13 respondents say by looking from accurate theory of the truth, and then most of that 15 also agree with that by looking for the theory. So on the first, the knowledge gained from all what we know about particular object from observation using sensory device. So from 25 respondents, 16 respondents express strongly agree and rest is agree with that. And then the second, to know the non-scientific truth, what is usually done first, that's before by trial and error, and then by incidentally, and then looking from accurate information of the knowledge like that. And the last, implementation of the learning by critical thinking in the classroom, by observation and planning, then implement it into the practice and making reflection together, not only by the educators itself, but also to the students and CLC. This is some of the picture that already done. This process of critical learning implementation process on the learning process before pandemic. So we can see that some students try to know about something by working together, some of that writing, some of that looking for information through the device, electronic device, handphone, and some of that try to discuss. From the implementation, in this simple research, I can get the result on affective, cognitive, and psychomotor. By conventional learning methods, we only can get the effective in here around maybe 65 score, and then by using critical thinking learning method I can get around 75, and then for the cognitive by conventional learning method demonstration only talking and then discussing without any electronic devices use or digital media uses only around 72, and then after that by the critical thinking learning method I can get 82, and then from the psychomotor by how the student can use a learning electronic devices to get some information, not only for social media but to get more information, accurate information related to the topic that we learn. It's about biotechnology and how the biotechnology right now will affect to the living daily life of the student itself and also society. And we can get the psychomotor result score is around 75 on the conventional learning method and around 80 for critical learning method. As the result for this process or for this research, from the effective, it shows that students had wait for a turn when they will accrue to the others. And then a student also show an attitude of being able to control emotions when the dialect process come out of the theme. So from the effective result, we can see by the change of the attitude, how the students have a different attitude when this critical method apply on daily learning process. So they will try to be more, they can argue more, but they also try to push themselves to be, okay, I will wait before I want to talk to my team or maybe to argue another team because they have a different argument with the others. And then by the cognitive assessment, the result is students have abilities that assess electronic learning using Google Classroom, quizzes, virtual application, and then the evaluation on the same topic that by conventional learning only get 72, while by critical thinking approach they get score around 84. It means that have significant result, the different, yeah. And then on psychomotor aspect about the skills using electronic learning applications and documenting the process of making biotechnology products independently. So the student also have to do some independent process on their own home, making biotechnology product that I use in here is yogurt. They can choose, but they choose the yogurt because it's easy to do, and then by online guiding they try to make it by themselves, and then also this product, yeah, they can get the product. Some of that is a good yogurt, and some of that the yogurt get contaminated, but the good thing the students still manage to go beyond the process, not only the result. I can conclude from the research in here that educators at non-formal education institution, some of that from CLC or PKPM Institute, understand that knowledge is obtained through interpretation of the five senses, and the knowledge will be managed in accordance with the fact, with the accurate theory into a new knowledge. This means that educators have a critical way of thinking that is not easily carried away by incorrect information or hoax information. These critical thinking skills that apply in digital learning process show improvement of the student result. The students be able to think critically, and then this learning innovation of non-formal education institution is one way in order to compete and survive in the era of knowledge through critical thinking as a basis of 21st century skills. That's from me. It's very honor for me to share this simple research that in the end, education will be end by finishing education program. But learning process through the whole life cannot be finished at that time. I mean, it long life learning. Promoting non-formal education to be exist by lifelong learning and no leave behind is the motto that have to be stay exist till now and from the future. That's from me. That's the end of me. Thank you so much from the great attention for all the ladies and gentlemen in here. See you next time. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.